I would like to give a brief summary on the Mass Bay meeting from last Thursday, clarify a few points from my personal perspective, and share where I believe the town is at this point in the process. I'll then ask the board members for their comments and questions, and following that, there'll be 15 minutes for open comment. We have several people who have requested time, and I'll ask that you each keep your comments to 3 minutes so we can accommodate as many people as have requested time as possible. As Megan mentioned, Mass Bay held a public meeting last Thursday night, the 25th. All 5 members of the board, Megan, Stephanie, and Planning Director Eric Arbini, and at least 1 member of the Planning Board were in attendance at the meeting, and there were approximately 120 residents. Dr. David Padell, president of Mass Bay, presented much the same information at that meeting as he did at our meeting 2 weeks ago, including background on the college, its facility needs, its growing cybersecurity program, and its plans to build the new cybersecurity athletic fitness center, expand a soccer field, and provide student parking on the east side of Oakland Street, the parking lot to replace the existing parking lot on the west side of Oakland Street. Matt Martin from the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities told the group that their mission is to support and promote housing, and that the Commonwealth's goal for housing is to produce 222,000 housing units over the next 10 years. Abby Vladeck from DCAM, Division of Capital Asset Management and Maintenance, outlined the Commonwealth's housing goals, the provisions of the Affordable Housing Act that allows the state to declare property as surplus to be used for housing. The 45 acres on the west side of Oakland Street is to be designated as surplus and conveyed, and Abby reiterated that under the Affordable Homes Act, it will be sold with a housing restriction. It can be home ownership or rental. It can be constructed within a wide range of housing options, and municipalities must permit housing at no fewer than 4 units per acre. They are still in the information gathering stage, and Abby also said they would like the RFP to be released for developers to be influenced by town input as to what we would like to see there. The state has the absolute right to sell the property for housing purposes, and there is no question that something is going to go there. Abby acknowledged that they have heard concerns, our board has heard concerns through all of their meetings about affordability, traffic, preservation of the undeveloped part of the site, and more. There is no development proposal yet, and they are looking for input from town officials, staff, and residents to inform the request for proposals that they plan to put out. Abby indicated that they want a development that Wellesley likes and that integrates well into the community. The rest of Thursday's meeting comprised of comments from approximately 22 residents, and a summary of those comments is as follows. Praising Mass Bay as being a good neighbor and an important institution in Wellesley. Optimism that the project could be good for the town, the college, and the state. Acknowledging that the state has multiple goals to create housing, preserve open space, conservation. Approximately 10 residents spoke about preserving Centennial Park as a critical open space, recreation, conservation, and ecological jewel, and also important for climate goals. There was concern about traffic at Route 9 and Oakland Street, an increase in the number of cars coming in and out of Oakland Street, negative impacts on the neighborhood, the narrowness of Oakland Street and the lack of sidewalks, concern about impact on schools and town infrastructure, concern about adverse environmental effects of development on properties downstream from the elevated part of Mass Bay's campus on the east side, where the new construction may take place, concern about affordability of built units, concerns about potential development of the Sisters of Charity property, which abuts the Mass Bay property, and the desire to avoid one-off zoning, concern about taking down trees and developing green space with accompanying effects on animal habitats and wetlands, and whether there were other means by which Mass Bay could raise or receive the funds to build the campus facility other than by selling the land. Now, a few clarifications and corrections. The town cannot prevent all development. No development is not an option. DCAM and EOHLC want to know what we want to see on the parcel. We have the opportunity to participate productively and constructively if we work together. The town has asked, but has no definitive answer yet on whether housing could be for age-restricted 55 plus. State staff does not currently believe a continuing care retirement community would fit the definition of housing under the Affordable Homes Act, but that is something we still have a question on. Maybe most importantly, part of what people refer to as Centennial Park is not Centennial at all. It has never belonged to the town. It belongs to the state. 50 years ago, the state offered land to the town, and the town opted to purchase part of it. The entire forested area is not Centennial, even though many people consider it a cohesive parcel and call it Centennial. And it's called Centennial because it was acquired during the centennial year of the town's founding. But beyond the borders of the acreage acquired by the town is still state-owned land. We know it's not our land, but it has been treated as Centennial Park for a long time. It is of great value to the town in its current undeveloped state. This could be the next best opportunity that the town has to preserve a large portion of the undeveloped part of that land. The town, regarding the schools, the town did not underestimate the number of children who would attend the Wellesley school system, or specifically the Fisk Elementary School, from the development at the Nines. I've confirmed this with school committee and the superintendent, with Megan. I've looked at the enrollment reports. The number of school children anticipated from the Nines projected prior to development was approximately 77 from K to 12. The actual number for the school year 24-25 was 49, and the actual number so far this year is 39. Never at, and this year only half of what was projected. Moreover, Fisk has a capacity of 365 students, and enrollment there is almost 100 students under capacity. So there was a statement made that belied these facts, and I have asked that the school committee endeavor to correct when those statements are made. Acknowledging the different interests at play with respect to this project, everyone is not likely to get everything we want. But there is an opportunity to reach a mutual understanding of what the most acceptable option might be. Mass Bay did not originate the sale of this land. It's a program of the state enabled by the new legislation and the designation of the surplus land is for use for housing, no other purpose than housing. Abby Vladek said that DCAM will be in the position of moving the housing development forward before the cybersecurity part of the project is built. Any claims of rights to the forested property under the principle of adverse possession do not apply to the state. The town should suggest the kinds of amenities that would enrich the experience of new occupants, such as access to the forest, some parking for entry to the forest, a playground, or other amenities that would be age appropriate to the anticipated residents. If the town continues to repeat only what we don't want, we risk the state coming back and presenting a proposal that is not what we do want. So it's incumbent upon us to take this opportunity, and I see it as an opportunity to make it the best it can possibly be. As I mentioned, there are other questions that are outstanding to DCAM, including clarification through a legal opinion of the authority of all parties, including this board, to bind the town, and whether the permissible units per acre can be aggregated on a subsection of that parcel, what housing would and would not qualify, and what input the town can have into the RFP. Mass Bay anticipates the parking study to be complete in early November, and EOHLC anticipates promulgating regulations on the statute by the end of the year, also possibly in November. Current conditions are not written into stone. The town can look into various options for Oakland Street, such as widening it, putting in sidewalks, adding a left turn lane from Oakland to Route 9, other factors that might mitigate impacts. Just because those conditions exist now doesn't mean that they necessarily will have to exist forever. The Select Board has asked about the timing of the release of the RFP, and Tom and I have discussed with Megan and Corey the possibility of doing a town-wide interactive visioning session, a public meeting, to look at things such as the topographical conditions of the site, the borders of what is technically centennial and what is not, a market analysis, economic development factors, and visualization of possible projects. There will be traffic analysis, development projections, and potential traffic and other mitigation measures by traffic engineers. Last thing I'll say, and I'm sorry for going on for so long, but I feel a huge responsibility to get this all out there. Abby listed several current projects now in progress or being contemplated in other communities. They are not apples to apples. The Concord project is significantly different acreage with a wastewater treatment plant, a former state prison, a cemetery. What we have here, the forested, undeveloped land, is very different. So we shouldn't be discouraged by looking at other DCAM projects and thinking that we can't influence what goes here, because I believe we can.